It's
Hi everyone, welcome to You Ask Me the Questions and I Answer Confession page. This week, we've chosen an interesting submission by an anonymous person who has been growing things they're not supposed to in their house. You pay 40,000 a year just to mess around and get deported. It's quite a long post. So, to summarize, they are an 18-year-old who was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and found that smoking marijuana really helped with their symptoms. They started growing marijuana on their property and started promoting marijuana in a Facebook group called Escape Room. A week or so, they organized a small gathering of 5 people at their backyard to talk about RA treatments. They also wrote up some joints for them to distribute. So, I have Felicia today to help me answer some questions. So, what are some basic laws about cannabis?
disclaimer, I'm not even like a law student, but generally, unless you're given like cannabis products by your medical practitioner, it's definitely illegal to have it in Australia. If you have less than 10 grams of cannabis, you can get a $2,000 fine or 2 years in prison. But if you're supplying cannabis or if you have more than 100 grams in your possession, then you can get a $20,000 fine and or 5 years in prison. But if you don't want to get that fine and you have less than 10 grams, you're over than 14 years old, you can get a CIR instead. This is a cannabis intervention requirement.
And I heard that this is required under the Misuse of Drug Act and Young Offenders Act. And you need to have a complete session of cannabis intervention session within 28 days of issue. It's an hour of one-on-one counseling session to develop coping and decision-making skills with a counselor. Okay then, so moving on to the next specific question. What could actually happen to me if I get caught?
Well, you can get that fine. If you have less than 10 grams, you can get that fine. You can go to prison for 2 years. Or you can get a CIR, you attend a 1-hour counseling session, then it's fine. But for anonymous, because technically what they're doing is cultivating and they're also supplying, even without charge, under the Misuse of Drugs Act, Section 8B, this is more than just the usual minor cannabis offense, and you can't just get away with a CIR. And if you look at Section 14, and you have that large amount of cannabis in your possession, you can get up to $20,000 in fine or 5 years in jail. And even if you said that this is for therapeutic use, because they're not given cannabis by their medical practitioner, and this is all done without manufacturing license, it still falls under illicit recreational use.
Here's another question. Will you get charged with an offense just by being around with illegal substances?
No, because it's not a crime to have cannabis in your possession if you want, you're an authorized person, or 2, you're going to bring it to an authorized person. But generally, if you're just around someone who uses it, it's not a crime.
So, I think this is an important question. Can your doctors report you for drug use if you come with a side effect caused by the drug?
Firstly, I think it's important that you tell your GP anything to do with your health, because they need that full picture of your health to give you the best service. Another is that doctors are obliged to keep your sessions confidential, and this is to encourage you telling them everything. This is unless they believe that you've developed an addiction to a substance, Schedule 8 or Schedule 9 substance, in which case they're going to have to file a report to the Department of Health and within 48 hours. And then when this happens, it's just that they have to authorize prescribing you Schedule 8 and 9 drugs.
But I do have a question, like that having drug conviction makes it harder for you to travel overseas. Countries like Japan, New Zealand, Taiwan will restrict your visa approval, and in fact, it will be harder for you to apply for jobs or even get a rental approval. But does your criminal conviction stays with you forever?
No, it doesn't. So Australia has the spent conviction scheme. This sets a limit to the disclosure of your past offenses. So if you're an adult when you did that crime, once the waiting period is done, this is usually 10 years, it's usually unlawful to disclose your past criminal offenses unless you did another crime within that waiting period,
Then,
in which case it resets. Yeah.
okay then, that's some better news. But is all cannabis in Australia legal?
So, certain cannabis has been approved for medical use. So the poison standards classified marijuana as a Schedule 3, 4, 8, and 9 substance. So you can get it through the pharmacist. Certain pharmacists, you can get to it with a doctor's prescription. Otherwise, it's a controlled or prohibited substance. If a doctor prescribes you cannabis products, it's usually the derivative cannabidiol, which is not psychoactive at all. It's a highly regulated substance, and without prescription, that's just illegal. Usually just illegal.
Hearing from all these anonymous write-ups, so what's gonna happen after this?
I think all we can do is just they need to get actual legal help. Like what we're doing now, this is just for educational purposes
Not
only.
professionals.
No, so it's nothing in comparison to what a lawyer can do for them. So they just need to get to a lawyer. Quick.
So if you're struggling with drug use, you can always talk to a GP or a counselor about it. And if you are given a CIR, we are giving the CIS booking number right down below. So don't do drugs. And bye!